All right, so this is question number 1 from January 2019. And the question says, A says, evaluate I 3.8 times 10 square plus 1.7 times 10 cube, and you're to give your answer in standard form. All right, one thing you could do is, well, you could work it in pieces. So let's go for pieces. This would be 3.8 times 10 square, which is 100. 10 square means 10 multiplied by 10, which is 100, plus 1.7 times 10 cube. All right, and 10 cube is 1,000. All right, so this would be 380 plus 1,700. And so the final answer here would be 2,080. All right, the final answer there will be 2,080. Then you're asked to write your answer in standard form. Now, whenever you write a number in standard form, the decimal point must come immediately after the first significant figure. So right now the decimal point is here. It comes after the whole number, and you need to get it between the first and the second significant figure, or immediately after the first significant figure. So this is going to be 2.08 times 10. Now, if the number you're writing in standard form starts at 0, the power will be negative. If the number you're writing in standard form starts with any other number, the power will be positive. The power is the number of times you move the decimal point. So we're going to move the decimal point 1, 2, 3 times. All right, and so the power would be 3. So our final answer is 2.08 times 10 to the third power. All right, let's go down to the fraction question. All right, this question says you are to evaluate a half multiplied by 3 over 5 divided by 3 and a half, giving your answer as a fraction in its lowest term. All right, what I would do is I would do this. This is a half times 3 over 5. So this is my numerator. Divide by 3 and a half. That is the denominator. All right, now when you're multiplying fractions, what you do is cancel. And if nothing can cancel, what you're going to do is that you're going to multiply numerator by numerator and denominator by denominator. So in the bracket, since nothing can cancel, 1 times 3 is 3, divide by 2 times 5, which is 10. Divide to the right. I'm going to convert 3 and a half, which is a mixed number, into an improper fraction. 2, 3, 6, and 1, 7. So this is 7 over 2. So now we're dividing one fraction by another. We're going to write back the first fraction, 3 over 10. Change the division sign to multiplication and invert the second fraction. So this is 2 over 7. So now we're going to cancel. 2 into 2 is 1. 2 into 10 is 5. And when nothing else can cancel, you're going to multiply numerator by numerator. So 3 times 1 is 3 over denominator by denominator. 5 times 7 is 35. So the final answer here is 3 over 35, unless I made an error. All right, so the B part of the question. All right, in the B part of the question, we're asked to express the number 6 as a binary number. I must confess, I can't remember 100% how to do this, but here goes from what I remember. All right, so I want to express it in binary. Binary is base 2. So I'm going to divide 6 by 2. So divide 6 by 2, I'm going to get 3 with a remainder of 0. So over here, I have the remainder. If I divide 3 by 2 again, I'm going to get what? 1 with a remainder of 1. Then I'm going to divide by 2 again, and I'm going to get 0 with a remainder of 1. So therefore, 6 base 10 is equal to 1, 1, 0 base 2. 6 base 10 is equal to 1, 1, 0 base 2. And of course, we can always test that, test the answer to see if it's correct. And I did it already, so I know it's correct. All right, so I'm not 100% sure about the method. Did I do it 100% correct? I'm not 100% sure, but I think it is. Let's have a look at C. In C, we're told that John bought a car for $65,000. If the value of the car depreciates by 8% each year, how much will the car be worth at the end of 2 years? All right, there are 2 ways you can do this. I'm going to first do it the long way, then I'm going to do it using a formula approach. Now, when something depreciates by 8% each year, what that is saying is that every year it loses 8% of the value it had at the start of the year. So whatever is the value at the start of the year, by the end of the year, the value of the item is going to be 8% less. So let's look at year 1. In year 1, the initial value is $65,000. So the thing depreciates, so depreciation is equal to 8%, so that's 8 over 100 times 65,000, 2020. So it loses, this is 650 multiplied by 8. So the value of the vehicle decreased by $5,200. So the value at the end of the year, so the final value would be equal to 65,000. All right, and obviously there are other ways you could do that, minus 5,200. But this is the absolute simplest way. So 65,000 minus 5,200. The value at the end of year 1 is 59,800. Now year 2, the initial value is 59,800. So in other words, the value of the vehicle at the end of year 1 is the same value of the vehicle at the start of year 2. Now the final value. Now, if something loses 8% of its value, remember there's 100% in a whole. So if something loses 8% of its value, the percentage that is left is 92%. So the final value would be 92%. So this is another approach. 92% of the initial value, 59,800, that cancels that. So the final value at the end of year 2 would be 92 times 59,800. All right. Sorry. It should be 92 times $598. So the value of the car at the end of year 2 would be $55,016. So that's one way we could have approached the question. Let's see if I have space to show a different approach. We could use a formula. All right, so the formula is this, the depreciation formula is this. The final value would be equal to, so this is an alternative approach. So let me write the word alternative. This is an alternative approach. The depreciation formula says that the final value is equal to the initial value. And then this is what? 1 minus R over 100 raised to the power N. So this is an alternative approach. So the initial value here would be the original value. R would be the rate of depreciation, and the N would be the number of years. So the initial value was $65,000. This is 1 minus 8, which is the percentage depreciation, over 100 raised to the power 2. So what we want to find out is the value of the vehicle at the end of year 2. So this is going to be 65,000. 8 divided by 100 is 0.08. 1 minus 0.08 would be 0.92 raised to the second power. All right. So if you put that in a calculator, you should get the final answer, which is $55,068.16. So let us see if that's what I would get. So that's 65,000 times 0.92 squared. And that's exactly what my calculator says. The final value would be $55,016. So you could do it like what you're seeing at the top, or you could use the alternative approach, which is at the bottom. All right. Anyone that you are comfortable with, you could use anyone, it doesn't matter. All right, let's go to the last part of the question. All right, so this is B, the absolute last part of the question. And B says, the table below shows the results obtained by a student in her CXC mathematics examination. The maximum mark for each paper is given in the third column of the table. Determine as a percentage the student's final mark for the mathematics examination. All right, I did look at this and I was trying to figure out, well, the easiest possible way to do it, but the only thing I could come up with is this. So let us determine what our final mark is. Our final mark would be equal to 55% of 30. 55% is 0.55. All right, 55% is 55 over 100, which is the same as saying 0.55 times 30. So she gets 55% of the 30. She gets 60% of the 50. And she gets 80%, which is 0.8 of the 20. All right. So just by putting this in your calculator, you will get what her final mark is. Her final mark, on paper 1, she got 55% of the 30. On paper 2, she got 60% of the 50. And on paper 3, she got 80% of the 20. So I'm going to put this now in my calculator and press equal to determine what her final mark is. So I have 0.55 times 30 plus 0.6 times 50 plus 0.8 times 20. So this is saying that our final mark is 62.5. So in total, she got 62.5 marks. All right. So, but what they ask us for is their marks as a percentage. So, as a determine as a percentage the student's final mark for the examination. So, as a percentage, the entire exam is marked out of 100. So she got 62.5 out of 100. So that is her mark as a fraction. To convert that to a percentage, you must now multiply by 100. The 100 cancel 100. So what she got was 62.5%. So therefore, we're asked to determine as a percentage the student's final mark. So the student's final mark as a percentage, she got 62.5%. All right, and that's the end of the question.